This meeting is being recorded.
So just to refresh our minds, our esteemed author Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has decided that Madhya Lila, the mid portion of his book, he wants to give a small capsule size introduction to so many of incidents, pastimes, philosophical points of Lord Chaitanya's life. And it's like an expert cook and somebody's telling him half an hour, how much can you make? And he's like, oh, I would like to make 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different types of preps, some sweets, some savories, some rice items. So this is how the acharyas have that desire to relate so many of Krishna's pastimes, stories. At the same time, they are also careful that they don't overstep their mandate. Mandate means an instruction. Please bear in mind, every acharya, now I would go and so be bold as to say that even, even if we find Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, Muhammad, or any of the, excuse me, any of the bona fide representatives of Krishna who have come, their life stories are different, their instructions are different. We find some of their followers clash violently today. The only thing is we need to see whether they are properly sent by Krishna or not. They might or might not use the word Krishna, they might use the word Almighty, Father, Heavenly Father, the greatest. So we Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we students of Bhagavad Gita, we can understand what are they hinting at. So therefore, now I know you may say you won't have many takers for this philosophy in the outside world, 100%. But we also know why people cannot accept this universal angle or universal truth. The reason is the three modes of material nature. Anyone in the grip of tamogun, the lowest mode, can never accept transcendental knowledge. Anyone in the mode of rajogun, the mode of passion, will always have time for increasing his business and money and always worry, worry, worry. In the mode of ignorance, there is not even any worrying thing. Why? The person doesn't even have the intelligence to worry about something. Or if they have, they are becoming violently engaged in some kind of enterprise or endeavor. So only sattva guna, sattva and sattva alone can equip someone to grasp the truth. So you may say, well, how do we get sattva guna then? So through book distribution, through prasadam distribution, through holy name, what happens? The holy name goes beyond even the three modes. This is like an elevator. You may say, oh, I have to climb 67 stories. No, you just have to take the proper elevator and press the button 67. And lo behold, you're on your way up. So this is a succinct way of understanding the position of a Vaishnava, a devotee. Okay, so 261, our Mahaprabhu has met with the two brothers, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and we have 260, Sanatana Goswami comes to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he came in the month of Jyeshtha, which we just passed 1 month ago. It's very hot. In fact, I don't know about you guys, but this summer has been the hottest in 60 years of almost all over India. The mercury has broken all records. So something is happening. Some say climate change, some swear there is no climate change. So it's a crazy world outside there. but at least the effects of climate change are being seen. And Prabhupada writes in a purport, when you see a big storm coming, when you see a big cyclone or an earthquake, your first job is to save yourself, save your loved ones. At the same time, when bombs were falling on Kolkata and Prabhupada was in his apartment, and he started cooking puris. And he's saying, Krishna has come in the form of death. I need to offer him something. Very unusual, but that's what Prabhupada did practically. Okay, text 261. Tushtohoy Prabhu Tare Pathaila Vrindavan Advaitere Haste Prabhu Adbhutam Bhochan. Translation. Being pleased, the Lord sent Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan. After that, he was fed wonderfully by the hand of Advaita Acharya. Now this just two small things. The Lord sending Sanatana Goswami back, huge pastime. Sanatana Goswami coming to meet Lord Caitanya. Now, if you have been to Puri, now devotees are going to Puri. 1st of July is Rath Yatra, the big Rath Yatra in India. And it's very hot. Oh my God, it's so hot. One day, Krishna decided to break my pride. I mean, he can break it anytime, but I have this pride that in the dham, I won't wear any shoes or any footwear. And that particular year, it was terrible. I had to walk on the edge of the road where there are some grass growing there. First day, second day, third day, it was too much. And finally, I put my shoes and started raining. So I could understand that, not that it was meant for me, but this is how easy it is for Krishna to break your pride. Once in one Rath Yatra, I said that I'm not going to commit any aparadh to the local people here or any offense toward any devotees. Before I knew, I had committed 3. Can you imagine? Number 1, I was standing and Jagannath Swami was just about to move, and a lady from Bengal, she tapped me on the shoulder, and in such a arrogant way, she said, "Hey, can't you see? I would like to see the Rath here. Get out of my way." I looked back and gave such a stare, and I spoke so angrily. And the next moment, I bit my tongue and saying, "Hey, you came here not to commit aparadh, isn't it?" So I said, okay, sorry, my lord, sorry. And in the evening, one rickshawala, rickshaws which they pull small passenger vehicles, I was bargaining with him about the rates. And he said, "Oh, you rich people, you come from Mumbai and Delhi and Kolkata. And with us poor people, you are bargaining for 5-10 rupees. So again, I got caught. And the next day, when the Rath has stopped in front of the Gundicha temple and they're bringing the Lord down, we have to really fight for standing room. Like it's all packed, people everywhere. So I was standing on a wall, not on a wall, but behind a wall. I was catching that wall and just looking at. And one person came and said, "Hey, you get down. I would like to see." I said, "Nothing doing. I came here first." Now, this is how you argue in India. I came here first. Then he said, big sadhus, and you claim to be, whatever big preachers, and you can't even allow someone to take darshan. I said something like, "Get lost," or whatever. And again, I was reminded, hey, you came to this Rath Yatra to stop offenses, and you are royally committing offenses. So after that, I stopped making any vows of not making offenses because it is so difficult. It is a fact that at a very crucial time, our real nature comes up. It's very embarrassing. It's very shameful that we call it our real nature. It's not. Our real nature is to be humble, to be a devotee of Krishna. So it is acquired nature. But this acquired nature is there for millions of births. So therefore, that becomes real nature. And then when we say I want to become a devotee, so then that becomes acquired nature. But that's not true. So Sanatana Goswami was sent back to Vrindavan, and Advaita Acharya feeding Mahaprabhu. That's a huge story again. Text 262. Any questions before we move?
I have a question, Prabhuji. When
Yeah.
when you think something but you didn't maintain that, are you feeling guilty or bad by yourself? Not you. Yesterday also I was asked that I know that I'm doing into chanting, but I'm very helpless. Am I feeling guilty about myself uh, because I cannot do proper chanting? How can you feel like that if you want to do, as you said, you don't want to do aparats, but you did? How do you feel and how do you move forward, Prabhuji?
I felt humbled, number one. Second, I got a realization that I'm not as big a devotee as I seem to be. And especially when you pass 5, 6, 10 years, you'll always have juniors in front of you saying that, oh, Prabhu is such a nice person. Mataji taught me everything. And those things may go in our head. And we may actually start believing when you don't believe the false allegations which people say, oh, she's very rude. No, I'm not. So when somebody says she's very advanced, oh, yes, I am. Why? If you don't agree with the first one, don't agree with the second one also. So we find our acharyas bearing their souls like somebody standing without any clothes in front of the public. How embarrassed you could be. So that's how we are without any clothes in front of Krishna. And we say that, just look at me, I'm so sorry. So most of these things, they follow a certain pattern, which is there even in the material world, that one after another, success may make you feel lax, lower your guard, as they say. But failures, they teach you valuable lessons. So I see this one thing as 3 times in 2 days, I had a big sankalpa, a big resolve in my mind, and I'm failing royally. This is where I really stand. If you talk of resources, if you tell someone, I'll help you whenever you need money, don't worry, I'll help you, I'll help you. And somebody says, okay, give me $300,000. Hey, not so much. 300 I can give, but not 300,000. So when you say I am giving you 300, you should understand that is my level. So next time when you talk about helping someone, you can qualify it by, Prabhu, Mataji, up to 300 I can give anytime. That's a realistic thing. So some of the things we do will bring us down to a realistic understanding, and that is good. It doesn't mean that we should not take any vows or not take any sankalpas or not take any resolves, but after some time you come to a reasonable understanding of where do you stand. A simple thing like a bodily torturous thing, fasting till 12 noon. Sometimes you can't even do that. Sometimes you do that. For a full day fasting, for Janmashtami fasting till midnight. So this is how our life is kind of checkered, filled with so many successes, so many failures. You get an understanding of where do you stand. So don't give up making resolves. And at the same time, one simple formula is not to be too morose and not to be too happy. Even if yesterday's festival was the best, the kirtan was the best, the lecture was the best, always be on guard. Like overpraise. And sometimes you may say, oh, those were the days when the kirtans, the really kirtans. In 71, Prabhupada was told by someone, I really miss those good old days, Prabhupada, when we were all small family. Prabhupada said, what do you mean good old days? These are the good old days. Prabhupada also liked small, intimate atmosphere with 10, 15 disciples. But he knew it is not realistic. His task was to start a society which is worldwide. So he never encouraged those kind of things. At the same time, with older disciples, Prabhupada would say, you know, that time you came, it was 1966 or 65, oh, it was so nice. So both of them can coexist. Your fondness for something and at the same time being realistic. These are some thoughts which you can use. All right.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So 262. Nityananda Sange Yukti Kariya Nibhrite Tare Pathaila Gaude Prema Pracharite. After sending Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan, the Lord privately consulted with Sri Nityananda Prabhu and then he sent him back to Bengal to preach love of Godhead. Tabeta Vallabha Bhatta Prabhu Re Lila Krishna Namer Artha Prabhu Tahare Kahila. Soon afterward, Vallabha Bhatta met the Lord at Jagannath Puri and the Lord explained to him the import of the holy name of Krishna. So Prabhupada gives some information about Vallabha Bhatta. Purport. Vallabha Bhatta is the head of the Vaishnava Sampradaya known as the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya in Western India. There is a long story about Vallabhacharya narrated in the Caitanya's Charitamrta, specifically in the 7th chapter of the Madhya Lila and the 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Vallabhacharya on the other side of Prayag in a place known as Adail Gram. Later, Vallabha Bhatta saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri to explain his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very proud of his writings. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu corrected him, telling him that a Vaishnava should be humble and follow in the footsteps of his predecessors. The Lord told him that his pride in being superior to Sridhar Swami was not at all befitting a Vaishnava. So the background of the story is, this Vallabhacharya is a great person. Do not belittle him. Do not think that our Mahaprabhu told him not to do this, do that. That means he's like a student. No, they were equals. And Vallabhacharya wrote a commentary on the Bhagavatam. And Mahaprabhu talked about Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami is the first commentator on the Bhagavatam in the last 2000 years. So Vallabhacharya is saying, but I did not take Sridhar Swami's commentary in consideration. What do you think? So Mahaprabhu joked. He said, Swami means a husband. He says, anybody who gives up her husband, she's not considered a very chaste and a loyal wife. So here, the wife stands for a student. And yeah, commentary means a purport, tika or bhashya. So, Vallabhacharya was very much taken aback. Oh, you call me like this? So that kind of thing went on between them. And one day he asked that, how do you describe Krishna? So Mahaprabhu said, I just have two understandings of the word Krishna. Sham Sundar, one who has a beautiful blackish body, and Yashodanandan, the darling son of Mother Yashoda. So he was trying to make it very intellectual, and Mahaprabhu made it just sweet. So these things are there, and Prabhupada said one should accept these lessons in our lives, but one should not comment on why Mahaprabhu said this and how Vallabhacharya was insulted or corrected by Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada said we are friendly sampradayas with them. We should continue the friendly relationship. Text 264. Pradyumna Mishreri Prabhu Ramananda Sthane Krishna Katha Shunaila Kahitar Gune. Translation. After explaining the transcendental qualities of Ramananda Rai, the Lord sent Pradyumna Mishra to his residence and Pradyumna Mishra learned Krishna Katha from him. Text 265. Gopinath Pattanayak Ramananda Bhrata Raja Marite Chila Prabhu Haila Trata. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved Gopinath Pattanayak, the younger brother of Ramananda Rai, from being condemned to death by the king 266. Ramachandra Puri Bhai Bhiksha Ghataila Vaishnavera Dukha Dekhi Ardeke Rakhila. Now, this is very interesting. This Ramchandra Puri is a very funny character. He is angry with Mahaprabhu, he corrects him. And you may say, how come somebody can take so much liberty with Mahaprabhu? So, this Ramchandra Puri is Krishna's mother-in-law, Jatila. And she always finds faults with Krishna. So the same role he got in Chaitanya Lila. He comes as a sannyasi called Ramchandra Puri. And a simple thing, he comes to Mahaprabhu's room and saw there is a long line of ants. That is a very common thing in India, tropical atmosphere, so ants are always there. And the ants are carrying food. He said, oh, this sannyasi was fed with too much food. And that's why there are leftovers here. And that's why I see the ants carrying out this food. This fellow is a sannyasi in name only. In his privacy, he eats lots of succulent items. I don't know how he can maintain his sannyas. So the devotees found it so irritating. They were so fearful. Only when Ramchandra Puri left the town of Puri, they all felt very happy. But because of being criticized by Ramchandra Puri, Mahaprabhu told his servants, from tomorrow I am eating only half of what I am eating every day. As such, he was eating only 4 handfuls of rice, just handful like this much. And he made it into 2, or whatever he was, if it was 2, he made it into 1. So the devotees were very unhappy. Oh, you should eat, you should eat, you should eat. But then, Ramchandra Puri criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating. Therefore, the Lord reduces eating to a minimum. However, when all the Vaishnavas became very sorry, the Lord increased his portion to half as much as usual. Text 267. Brahmanda Bhitare Hoy Chauda Bhavan. Chauda Bhavan Vaise Jata Jivagan. He is changing the topic here from 267. There are 14 planetary systems within the universe, and all living entities reside in those planetary systems. So the Vedas describe our world. 14 systems, that means 14 categories of, like if you go to a hotel and there are 14 stories. So each story, each floor has a certain specialty. So 7 are considered up, 7 are considered down. Our world comes in the middle somewhere. Not one planet, but one planetary system. So our Bhumandala is hundreds and hundreds of planets, but they all come in the middle category. Point number 1. Point number 2, the 7 upper ones, they are mainly meant for sense enjoyment. Those who do pious activities, they are promoted upwards. The 7 lower ones are considered where you suffer for your impious activities. So generally speaking, it is said that do something good, go up. Finish off that piety, come down. Do something bad, go down. Get that punishment, again come in between. My Lord, this has continued for so many hundreds and hundreds of times. So that is why some of us have an attraction for doing piety, some attraction for impiety. The Bhagavatam says, why not get rid of this whole game? What will some temporary going up will help you? Get out of this whole cage. Get out of this prison of material life. So that is the aim of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 268. Manushya Veshadhari Jatri Kera Chale Prabhuda Darshan Kare Asinila Chale. So this is very interesting. There are 14 systems, and what is said here is dressing like human beings on pilgrimage. They all used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So those who came to see Mahaprabhu were not just inhabitants of our planet. People were coming from all over the planetary systems, but they were all dressed like, just like you and me. So nobody will have any suspicion. 269. Ekadina Srivasadi Jata Bhaktagan Mahaprabhur Gunagaya Karena Kirtan. One day, all the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur were chanting the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 270. Shuni Bhakta Gane Kahe Sakroda Vachane Krishna Nama Guna Chadi Ki Kara Kirtane. What happened was these devotees started chanting Gaura Gaura, chanting Lord Chaitanya's name. And he became a bit angry. He says, hey, instead of chanting Krishna Krishna, why are you chanting my name? What nonsense is this? So, Shuni Bhakta Gane Kahe Sakroda Vachane Krishna Nama Guna Chadi Ki Kara Kirtane. Not liking the chanting of his transcendental qualities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised them as if he were angry. What kind of chanting is this? He asked. Are you leaving aside the chanting of the holy name of the Lord? Audhatya Karite Haila Sabakaraman Sutantra Haya Sabe Nashabe Bhuvan. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised all the devotees, telling them not to show impudence and spoil the entire world by becoming independent. Now, this is something which is specially taken up by Prabhupada as an important point. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned all his followers not to become independent or impudent. Independent means thinking oneself beyond anybody's instructions or control. And impudent means, oh, because I am successful, I'll continue whatever I am doing. Whether it is part of Shastra, etiquette or not, I don't care. No. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many, now this is a careful, understand the word carefully, Apa Sampradaya. Apa Sampradaya is, for all purposes, they look like Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Same Tilak, Kantimala, Srimad Gita, Bhagavad, chanting Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, everything. But internally, they have already gone off astray. So-called followers. That's why the word is used here, so-called followers. Many Apa Sampradayas invented many ways not approved by the Acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as Aula, Baula, Karta Bhaja, Neda, Darvesha, Shai, Sakhi, Sahajya, Sakhi Bheki, Smarta, Jata Gosai, Atibadi, Chudadhari, Gaurang Nagari. The Aul Sampradaya, the Baul Sampradaya, and others invented their own ways of understanding Lord Chaitanya's philosophy without following in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself indicates herein that all such attempts would simply spoil the spirit of his cult. For example, they chant Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Sri Radhe Govinda, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Sri Radhe Govinda. Somebody said, hey, what is this? So no, we chant Hare, Krishna and Rama. We also chant Radhe Govinda, and we also chant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name. Anything wrong with that? So Prabhupada said, yeah. Just because you have Hare Krishna and Ram, it is better than chanting any other nonsensical mantra. But why don't you take something which was already given by the previous acharyas? Why make something on your own? In our temple, we had one lady, I always crack this joke. She got ripe mangoes and she took the mango pulp, big pieces, put them in some chickpea, besan batter and made pakoras. Now, pakoda made from potatoes, cabbage is good, right? But pakoda made with mango pulp. So mango pulp is good, pakodas are good, but to mix them artificially. So the artificial part is what is criticized. Please understand. Yeah, so you have a question here. Is Ritvik also come to this category? Can we donate to their services? Can we visit their temples which are run? See, that's the problem. Our understanding with them is more whether philosophically somebody can become Prabhupada's disciple right now. They say yes, we say no. Otherwise, they chant Hare Krishna, we chant Hare Krishna, the temples are almost the same. So I think you should be careful, take a personal view. If somebody has to go to a temple and if that temple is nearby, I will not say no. But if they see you and if they start attacking your way of understanding Prabhupada, then it is time to kind of not come into any confrontation. I have seen people who are good in their understanding and very careful in their etiquette. And I've also seen people very much antagonistic and attacking. And they are there in our group also. So it's like mostly very, a personal experience is the best judge. Would someone like to read from this point to 72 onwards?
From 272, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Okay, with your permission. Text 272. Dasadike koti koti loka he nakale Jaya Krishna Chaitanya Bali Kare Kola Hale. Translation. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was apparently in an angry mood and chastising his devotees, many thousands of people outside loudly cried in a tumultuous voice, all glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 273. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Rajendra Kumara Jagattarite Prabhu Tomara Avatara. Translation. All the people began to call very loudly, all glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the son of Maharaja Nanda. Now you have appeared in order to deliver the whole world. Text 274. Bahudura hate ainu hana bada artha darasana dia prabhu karaha karta kritarta. Translation. O Lord, we are very unhappy. We have come a long distance to see you. Please be merciful and show us your favor. Text 275. Suniya lokera dainya dravila hrudaya bahire asi darsana dila daya maya. Translation. When the Lord heard the humble petition made by the people, his heart softened. Being very merciful, he immediately came out and gave audience to all of them. 276. Bahutuli bale Prabhu bala hari hari Uttilla Sri Hari Davani Chatura Dikbari. Raising his arms, the Lord asked everyone to chant loudly the vibration of the holy name of Lord Hari. There immediately arose a great stir, and the vibration of Hari filled all directions. 277. Prabhu deki preme loka anandita mana Prabhu ke Ishvara bali karaye sthavana. Seeing the Lord, everyone became joyful out of love. Everyone accepted the Lord as the supreme, and thus they offered their prayers. 278. Stava suni Prabhu ke kahina Srinivasa Gare Gupta hau kene bahire prakasa. While the people were offering their prayers unto the Lord, Srivasa Thakur sarcastically said to the Lord, "At home you wanted to be covered. Why have you exposed yourself outside?" 279. Kesikala I loke kahe kon bata Iha sabara muka daka diya nija hata. Srivasa Thakura continued, "Who has taught these people? What are they saying? Now you can cover their mouths with your own hand." 280. Surya yachi udaya kari chahi lukayate bujhite na paritaiche tomara charite. It is as if the sun, after rising, wanted to hide itself. We cannot understand such characteristics in your behavior. Text 281. Prabhu kahena Srinivasa chada vidambana sabe meli kara mora kateka lanchana. The Lord replied, "My dear Srinivasa, please stop joking. You have all combined together to humiliate me in this way." Text 282. Etabali loke kari subha drishti dana abhyantare gela lokera purna haila kama. Thus speaking, the Lord entered his room after glancing auspiciously upon the people out of charity. In this way, the desires of the people were completely fulfilled. Text 283. Raghunatha Dasa Nityananda Pase Gela Chidadadi Mahotsava Tahani Karila. At this time, Raghunatha Dasa approached Sri Nityananda Prabhu and, according to his order, prepared a feast and distributed prasadam composed of chipped rice and curd. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There is a special preparation in Bengal wherein chipped rice is mixed with curd and sometimes with sandesha and mango. It is a very palatable food offered to the deity and then distributed to the public. Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, who was a householder at this time, met Nityananda Prabhu. According to his advice, he executed this festival of Dadi Chida Prasada. Text 284. Tanra Agnya Lana Gela Prabhura Charane Prabhu Tanre Samarpila Swarupera Sthane. Translation. Later, Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami left home and took shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannathapuri. At that time, the Lord received him and placed him under the care of Swarupa Damodara for spiritual enlightenment. Purport. In this regard, Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami writes in Vilapa Kusmanjali 5. Yomam dustara geha nirjala maha kupad apara klamat sadhya sandra dayam buddhihi prakritaha svairikrupa rajubhi udartyatma saroja nindi charana pranatam prapadya swayam Sri Damodara Satchakra tam aham Chaitanya Chandram bhaje. Let me offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, by his unreserved mercy, kindly saved me from household life, which is exactly like a blind well without water, and placed me in the ocean of transcendental joy under the care of Swarupa Damodara Goswami. Prabhuji, there is a question you...
Yeah, tell me.
I think
okay, is the Chida festival coming, right, Prabhuji,
yeah.
when you are up in India? The Chida, I need to just make a quick check, just a moment. So this is summer festival. Okay, it is June 12th, 12th of June, with Dadi Chida.
The same thing just we read, right, from this previous video.
Yeah. We make Mayapur TV has this whole program on the Dadi Chida festival. So Raghunath Das Goswami is still bound up by his family responsibilities. He has a big estate, is super rich, and he comes to know that Nityananda Prabhu has come to a place which is called Panihati. So he goes there to meet him. Nityananda Prabhu is seeing his associates, sitting with his associates, and he looks at Raghunath Das and says, "Hey, you, why are you so far, sitting so far away? You are like a thief. That's why you can't come in the middle, isn't it?" So Raghunath Das Goswami was kind of happily relishing this exchange. As a thief, you need to be punished. So he said, yeah, whatever you say. And the punishment is, you bring these two preparations, condensed milk and yogurt with bananas and mangoes. So one preparation is with the yogurt and one is with milk. And then he sent his people, they purchased milk from the nearby villages and they cooked. And within a few hours, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are just relishing. Everybody present gets two pots, and some cannot stay on the ground, so they go in the Ganga, in the river, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears there, although can't be seen. So Nityananda Prabhu takes some portion, puts in his mouth. Mahaprabhu takes something, puts in Nityananda Prabhu's mouth. It's a big kirtan. So this is called the Pani Hati Dadi, the Ichida festival. In America, your Atlanta temple is one which Jayapataka Maharaj would always encourage that. So they, I think it's called New Pani Hati. So therefore, this is one highlight of their yearly festivities. Big, big, big festival. Yeah.
Prabhuji, anyone wants to read?
We are just at the fag end now. 2 more shlokas, 3 more shlokas.
Okay. Text 285. Brahmananda Bharatira Guchaila Charamambara Imata Lila Kaila Jaya Vatsara. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped Brahmananda Bharati's habit of wearing deerskin. The Lord thus enjoyed his pastimes continuously for 6 years, experiencing varieties of transcendental bliss. Text 286. Ita Kahila Madhya Lilara Sutra Gana Sesa Dwadasa Vatsarera Suna Vivarana. I have thus given a synopsis of the Madhya Lila. Now please hear the pastimes of the Lord performed during the last 12 years. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Thus, Srila Kaviraja Goswami, strictly following in the footsteps of Sri Vyasadeva, gives a synopsis of the Leelas of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta. He has given such a description at the end of each canto. In the Adi Lila, he outlined the pastimes of the Lord in 5 stages of boyhood, leaving the details of the description to Srila Vrindavana Dasa Thakura. Now, in this chapter, the pastimes that took place at the end of the Lord's life are summarized. These are described in the Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. The rest of the pastimes have been described in a synopsis in the 2nd chapter of the Madhya Lila. In this way, the author has gradually described both the Madhya Lila and the Antya Lila. Text 287. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrta Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Dasa, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta following in their footsteps. Purport. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Madhya Lila, 1st chapter, summarizing the later pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauramanande, Hari Bol.
So by your mercy, dear Vaishnavas, we come to another milestone in our small attempt at, first of all, understanding Prabhupada's purports. Second, to thank Prabhupada for giving us such a wonderful nectar. And thirdly, to apprise ourselves with this most wonderful understanding of Krishna as his own devotee. We read Krishna book, so we understand Krishna as God. We read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we understand Krishna as his own devotee. So I will just go with the introduction to chapter 2, and then we'll take from verse 1 onwards next time. So chapter 2, the ecstatic manifestations of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's introductory understanding. In the second chapter of the Madhya Lila, the author describes the pastimes the Lord performed during the last 12 years of his life. Thus, he has also described some of the pastimes of the Madhya Lila. Why he has done so is very difficult for an ordinary person to understand. The author expects that reading the pastimes of the Lord will gradually help a person awaken his dormant love of Krishna. See, this is what our whole goal is. The author expects that reading the pastimes of the Lord will gradually help a person awaken his dormant love of Krishna. Actually, this Chapter-1 was compiled by the author during very old age. Fearing he might not be able to finish the book, he has included a synopsis of the Madhya Lila here in the second chapter. Srila Krishnadas Goswami has confirmed that the opinion of Swarup Damodar is authoritative in the matter of devotional service. Over and above this are the notes of Swarup Damodar memorized by Raghunath Das Goswami, who also helped in the compilation of the Chaitanya Charitamrta. After the disappearance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami went to Vrindavan. At that time, the author, Srila Kaviraj Goswami, met Raghunath Das Goswami. By whose mercy, he also could memorize all the notes. In this way, the author was able to complete this transcendental literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta. So, please understand what is happening. Swarup Damodar Goswami has notes. He narrates them to Krishna, to Raghunath Das Goswami. He memorizes them. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has no connection with Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar Goswami passes away. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami meets with Raghunath Das Goswami, hears those notes, memorizes them, and many years later, he starts to write about them. What an amazing thing. So we shall stop here and we shall resume from text 1 when we meet next time. If there are no